Hey BrewTubers, Barry here for another quick webcam upload video. I felt that, I did post the brew footage from the two 1-gallon batches that are still fermenting. The krausen dropped pretty much out after a couple days, but for 1-gallon batches with all that yeast, I wasn't expecting the krausen to be there for so long, but it was really weird. So what I decided to do was just to ramp up the temperature just a tiny bit each day. So I was keeping it kind of low because I didn't want too much esters from the English yeast and the porter. So I was keeping it between about 64 and 66. So I'm going to gradually build it up to where it could hit at its high point just over 68 over the next few days, just to see what happens. But it is, warming up and making my fridge turn on with my temperature controller. So I know there's still some fermentation going on and some nice warm air within the fermentation chamber. So I know that, we're doing well with that. Beyond that, I just didn't want to go another week without telling you what's going on the Brewed Palate for me, beer experience-wise, beyond just, of course, trying to do 1-gallon batches for the first time. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly when I'm going to brew my SJ Pour beer. It's probably going to be sometime in mid to late April, just because it's going to be a hoppy beer, and I want, of course I want it to be carbonated because I'm probably going to bottle condition as usual because I don't keg yet, but of course I want it to be carbonated before I send it to SJ, but I want it to be the hop character for it to be as fresh as possible, because until it gets to him and then he splits it up and sends it out to everyone and everyone gets it, it'll be some time. So in order for the hop character to be as fresh as possible, I want to brew it as late as possible. And I know Puka NC also told me he's doing a hoppy beer, so he's going to do the same thing. So right now I'm actually drinking the Bro Time IPA. It looks darker to you on camera. Let me try to get the light down on it. I don't know if you can see that. Towards the bottom, it's more of like what the color is like. It turned out more like a hoppy amber. In most light, it looks darker, but it actually is a nice reddish gold color. But a lot of people, it's edging towards an amber ale. In terms of color, because there's 12 ounces of crystal or caramel 40 in it and a half a pound of carapil. So it has really nice lacing, as you see, really good head retention. Drinking it from my Dogfish Head IPA glass. So there's not as much tropical fruits from the Pacific Jade and Motueka dry hop, because it has been in the bottle for a little over 3 weeks, but there is like a nice, piney floralness from the nugget hops, and then some nice citrus from the Citra and Amarillo. But overall, not like a really pungent citrus, like a nice balanced citrus, a little bit of caramel, toffee-ish malt character from the specialty malts and the Maris Otter. I originally, when I first tried it, after a week in the bottle, when it was ready, because it carbonated pretty quickly, I thought there was some diacetyl from the stressed yeast from putting the first vial of San Diego super yeast in when it was still a little warm. But I think over time that's aging out, so overall it's a pretty drinkable, about 6% IPA. But I am pre-gaming with this homebrew for one of these boys. You might recognize the Heady TOPPER. One of my friends and his wife went for a few days to Vermont this week, and he picked me up a 4-pack of really fresh Heady TOPPER. He told me that he was at the store, got to the store right when the delivery truck was pulling up, so really fresh. So he's probably there, I think, on Tuesday of this week, so it's about, 2-3 days from delivery to the store to when I'm going to be drinking my first can. So really fresh. And then from a small brewery called a Fiddlehead beer brewing company from Shelburne, Vermont. He got me their Hodad, which is a chocolate vanilla toasted coconut porter, clocking in at 5.5% ABV. So, and it gets pretty good ratings, he said, on all the beer rating sites. So, I'm looking forward to trying that. And then, going back to home brewing, as I may have told you, every third Tuesday of the month is my New York City Homebrewers Guild meeting. And this month, this Tuesday, they did it kind of in honor of St. Patrick's Day. They did a stout tasting where they went through the 4 main BJCP stout styles. So first, of course, we started with the Irish Dry Stout being the lowest ABV, least complex. So first we did, of course, the Guinness Drought Can. You know, it was really good to see, you know, where 40 people with all different palates came, tried to touch of the beer. We shared our thoughts while they did, you know, after the president, Zach, the president of the club, told us, you know, the BJCP guidelines. You know, and then to compare it with a more craft version, we did the recently released Brooklyn Brewery's Irish Dry Stout, and there was a really nice, really perceivable difference. The Guinness Draft, you know, it was a good beer, but I felt that it had too much astringency underlying to it that made me probably only want to drink 1 can, while the Brooklyn had a lot more chocolate, a lot more complexity, and just the right amount of astringency for an Irish Dry Stout. So that was nice. Then, yeah, I guess this video is not going to be too short, but anyway, I just wanted to tell you about it. So then we went on to the Oatmeal Stout, where we had the classic Samuel Smith's Oatmeal Stout, which I found it hard to always find, to find a fresh bottle of, because I bought a 4-pack a while ago, and it was tasting really sweet, like more sweet than I remember it being, but somehow the couple of times that I've had it at my homebrew club meetings as part of the tasting portion in the beginning, the more educational part, they've gone fresher bottles, so it has a little bit more toasted oats, roastiness, really nice complexity, and I definitely still think that's very worthy of being the benchmark for the style. And then we went on to the Milk Stout, where we had a homebrewed version, which was pretty nice, and then from New York State, the Keegan Ales, which had a nice rounded lactose character. Not my favorite for the style, for the sweet stout / milk stout, but you know, I think I like the left-hand milk stout more, but it was still really good. Then, before getting to the Imperial Stouts, which we had 2 examples of, which I'll talk about in a second, we had the Foreign Extra Stout, or Export Stout. So we had a homebrewed version again from the vice president of the club, which was really good and nice and fruity. And then we had from Red Stripe from Jamaica, they make a beer called Dragon Stout, which I've had before, and it was really nice. And it's really surprisingly pretty good for being brewed by a big lager brewery like Red Stripe. And then, you know, for my favorite stout style, and many people's favorite stout style, we had Imperial Stout, which we didn't do Russian Imperial versus American Imperial Stout or barrel aged. But we had 2 of my favorites. First we had the North Coast Old Rasputin, which is, you know, some people's favorite, some people's first Imperial Stout. Definitely wows me every time. And this bottle was pretty fresh because it had a really nice hop character to it to balance out the malts and the coffee and the espresso coffee and the chocolate. And then one of my favorite all-time Imperial Stouts, we had the Great Divide Yeti, so that was great. And then afterwards, of course, I brought some of my bottles of my breakfast stout, you know, and got some good critique from home brewers of different experience levels and some professional brewers. And of course, you know, some people knocked it and for not being as much more complexity behind the coffee flavor that's still there. But it was my first batch of my new equipment, so I was able to justify that. But overall, that was really a really awesome time. So again, I just wanted to post this video, which is now 10 minutes long. But you know, I just didn't want to go, you know, until next Homebrew Wednesday without actually posting, you know, what's going on, you know, in a more complete way than just posting a long brew day video, which, you know, you guys know by now that I like posting a good amount of homebrew, of like brew night or brew day footage instead of just chopping it into like 10 minutes or less. And maybe I'll do that in the future, but for now I like doing as full of a version as possible without rambling too much within the video. But I'm going to go get these cans of Heady Topper back in the fridge for a few minutes while I finish up Bro Time IPA. And if you check my Facebook page, which I want to plug a little bit because I've only got 51 likes on it so far, it's facebook.com/Brewed Palate. I'll post a picture of it with the recipe. So again, and also I'll try to remember once I finish it to post a link in the description for the blog post that I'm doing about the 2 1-gallon batches with just a few more thoughts on how the brew day went and what my goals for it are and were before I brewed. So yeah, so happy home brewing since I'm posting this late Thursday night, and I don't know when you guys are going to watch it, either tonight or Friday. Some of you it's already Friday over in the UK/New Zealand and Australia. But yeah, cheers.